guys, and welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about the warning use of video technology could compromise autism assessments. This article is from the Shropshire Live website, which I'll link down in my video description. It's written by a senior psychologist called Dr. Lisa Williams, and she's urging families to think very carefully before doing an online autism assessment because she's worried it could result in an incorrect diagnosis. Clinical psychologist Dr. Lisa Williams has more than 14 years' experience within autism and mental health. She said that with the outbreak of COVID-19, many businesses and organisations have had to change the way they're working, but that the autism diagnostic assessment are not something that should be switched to an online service. Autism is a disorder of social communication and interaction. To diagnose it, you need to observe and assess how a person communicates and interacts. As soon as you put a video camera between these two people, with or without autism, communication and interaction become distorted. The simple example of this is eye contact. How can you assess eye contact when no one is sure where to look? In my professional opinion, you can't. So I kind of agree with her with that, because it is hard to look at a camera, especially like me on the phone right now. It's difficult to keep looking at the screen. Dr. Williams, who has experience of working in 3 different autism teams within the NHS, which is the National Health Service here in the UK, has led on diagnoses for preschool children all the way up to older adults, is also the clinical director of her local autism service. The service did not switch to offering diagnostic appointments online when restrictions were imposed. Instead, all appointments were then later postponed. The gold standard tools that we have available to us, such as the ADOS 2, are not validated for use online, and rightly so. So you'd have to use a homemade alternative and something that's just not acceptable. Dr. Williams has also said there is the issue of patient experience. We want it to be a positive, and the additional pressure of social demands created by use of a video camera only heightens their anxiety, which in turn affects their social skills, further lessening the accuracy of the whole assessment. At the very least, families should be informed about the use of video technology and how it might compromise the assessment and any resulting uncertainty, a position that is supported by a recent statement made by the British Psychological Society. Dr. Williams said that with improved public understanding of autism, the autism service is receiving more inquiries from people who are questioning the diagnosis if they received online is accurate. As a psychologist, she said this is deeply concerning. It is very distressing for all involved. I would say that in this case of diagnosing autism, having no assessment is better than having an online assessment. So that's her professional opinion, but for me, I kind of disagree with her, because if you're waiting years already and you're having to wait even longer for an autism assessment, the last thing you want to be doing is having heightened anxiety, heightened meltdowns, questions, anger, frustration, mental health issues. So for me, if I was to have an assessment now, I think being diagnosed online would be a lot better than having to wait potentially another couple of years to get an assessment. But I do agree with her that it could lead to an incorrect diagnosis, because you can't really observe someone online and how they act, because they could act one way online and a different way in person. So it is very difficult to tell how they're actually going to interact with you socially online. They could be able to cope and mask online, whereas in real life they won't. So for me, I mask online quite a lot. I hide quite a lot of my barriers. But in real life, I struggle. My anxiety is heightened all the time. As you can probably see right now, I'm highly anxious. It's took me 8 attempts to film this because I kept stuttering and getting nervous about how to say this. But also, during this time of COVID-19, which I've mentioned, which is obviously the virus that's going around, you have to cope with change, and if that means working with people online instead of in person, then maybe working online is the most accurate way to start the assessment. And who knows, it could build up a rapport and a trust between you and the diagnosing person and the professional who's doing the assessment, because at least you have that relationship started, so when you do see them in person, it's less overwhelming, less sensory meltdowns, less physical meltdowns for them to come and see you. But again, I can understand why you use the tools which are professional, which shouldn't be put online, I guess. But again, it can distort their behaviour. It can lead to episodes of depression, anxiety, sensory meltdowns, physical meltdowns. So they may come across totally different to how they are in real life. Again, she's made a point saying about that people with eye contact problems may find it extremely hard to focus and pay attention to the camera. And I agree with her to a point, because it is extremely difficult to keep still. And as long as you follow government guidance about how to best support that individual with autism during their assessment, there is ways that you can work together with them to make it just a little bit easier to cope with being assessed or diagnosed. So I'm going to turn the page now into my final bit of notes that I wrote down. And the final point where she says it's better to not have an autism assessment at all, I think that's misleading, because, like I say, the mental health benefits of having the assessment, also it's about having the right professional support at the right time by the right person. As someone with autism and anxiety disorder myself, it's extremely important to me to have the right person and the right support at the right time, so they know how to best help me. And each individual is different, so their journey and their story is going to be different than mine. So therefore you have to have that training in place to help them. And the family's going to be going through hell anyway. They're going to be going through stress, they're going to be going through change, they're going to have questions about how to best support their adult or their child. So for me, if I was to be getting diagnosed now, I'd rather get diagnosed online than not at all. So let me know if you agree with me, and please like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.